It was a dark and stormy night when a group of journalists received a tip about a secret operation being conducted at Area 51. They knew that the government had been conducting experiments on extraterrestrial beings for decades, but they had never been able to get any concrete evidence. This seemed like the perfect opportunity to uncover the truth and expose it to the world. The journalists packed their gear and set off to Area 51, eager to uncover what was really going on. They had heard stories about the military base being heavily guarded, but they were determined to get in and get the story. As they approached the perimeter, they noticed that the guards seemed to be on high alert. They had been warned that the military was anticipating a breach in security, but they didn't let that deter them. They slipped past the guards and made their way to the hangar where the extraterrestrial beings were being kept. What they saw inside the hangar was beyond anything they could have imagined. Rows of tanks filled with strange, otherworldly creatures lined the walls, their tentacles and appendages writhing in the dim light. The journalists couldn't believe their eyes. This was the proof they had been looking for. They quickly set up their cameras and began to document everything they saw. They interviewed some of the scientists who were conducting the experiments, and they were shocked to learn that the extraterrestrial beings were being subjected to inhumane and cruel testing. As they were finishing up their documentation, they heard footsteps approaching. They quickly packed up their gear and made a run for it. They thought they had made it out undetected, but they were wrong. The military was hot on their heels, and they soon found themselves being chased through the halls of Area 51. The journalists split up, hoping to lose their pursuers, but they soon realized that they were trapped. Just as they were about to be captured, they stumbled upon a hidden room. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The walls were lined with monitors and equipment, and there were several scientists sitting at computers, typing away furiously. But as the journalists looked closer, they realized that something was off. The extraterrestrial beings that they had seen earlier were nowhere to be found. Instead, there were humans, strapped to tables and writhing in agony. They were being experimented on just like the extraterrestrial beings had been. The journalists were stunned. This was not what they had expected to find. They had uncovered a secret experiment that was even more heinous than they had anticipated. But their shock quickly turned to horror when they realized that they themselves had been involved in the experiment. They had been hypnotized into believing that the extraterrestrial beings were real. In reality, they had been experimenting on humans, just like the scientists in the hidden room were doing now. The government had been conducting an experiment in mind control, and the journalists had been unwitting participants. The journalists were horrified by what they had discovered. They knew that they had to expose the truth, no matter what the cost. They managed to escape Area 51 and return to their office, where they spent weeks compiling their evidence and putting together their story. When they finally published their expose, it shook the world to its core. The government was forced to acknowledge the truth and take action against those responsible for the inhumane experiments. But for the journalists who had uncovered the truth, their lives would never be the same. They were haunted by the knowledge that they had been used as pawns in a twisted game of mind control, and they knew that they could never fully trust their own memories again. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story, and remember, if you struggle with falling or staying asleep at night, click on the first link in the description for the ultimate solution to your problem. Now, choose one of these two videos and continue on our journey in the world of bedtime stories.